Cobra might be one of Stallone's most underrated and best movies. It's a very interesting title that didn't get the recognition it deserved upon release, but managed to gather a cult following ever since. Recent years especially have seen a resurgence of interest in Cobra, and social media seems to be full of fan art or references to it within nostalgic or 80s inspired pages.
This is where the law stops, and I start. You know what the trouble with you is? You're too violent.
Even Stallone expressed interest in potentially making a sequel or rebooting the movie. What makes Cobra so unique is the atmosphere and the way it's shot. This isn't just another cliche action movie featuring Stallone. Sure, you've got plenty of one-liners like you'd expect, but honestly, one-liners go hand in hand with the 80s, and I'd almost give it a bad review if it didn't have any.
You have the right to remain silent.
Cobra is dark. A crazy cult is terrorizing LA led by a deranged serial killing maniac called the Night Slasher. The movie doesn't pull any punches when it comes to this, as in typical horror fashion, we see him kill and slash a bunch of people. It might not be as graphic as a full-blown horror movie, but it certainly uses a lot of elements that you'd also see in horror. From the first minute, Cobra builds a dark and depressing atmosphere. It paints a picture of a world gone mad where random mass shootings and supermarkets happen all the time. It actually has a lot in common with The Punisher. In fact, it might have even been released as the Punisher movie without anyone raising an eyebrow.
You're a disease, and I'm the cure. Die! Drop it!
Marion Cobretti is a hardcore police officer that takes on the vilest and most fucked up cases other detectives refuse to pursue or don't have the stomach for. He's the man you call when dealing with evil maniacs or mass shooters. Everyone knows that Cobretti will inflict justice upon them, and you better get a few coffins ready. One thing that makes this movie unique are its neon-drenched visuals and soundtrack. The dark atmosphere harmonizes perfectly with the purple neon lights that are thrown into various shots. A lot of 80s nostalgia is based on this exact image. The idea that everything was full of purple neon back then, overlaid with the John Carpenter-like synth soundtrack. And while this may seem like pure cliche and a trope now, it enhances the experience of watching this movie. Cobra feels like a darker, horror-influenced version of Miami Vice. It has similar visuals and tries to move away from already established genre expectations, even though it still features plenty of tropes, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's interesting to see a no bullshit guy like Cobretti take on a horror slasher that has no fear.
If it's a mission no man can survive, he's the man for the job. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Commando. Let's party.
If you thought Rambo was wild, then you have no idea what level of pure insanity Commando has in store. This movie might be one of the most badass creations to ever face the earth, and it definitely cemented Arnold Schwarzenegger as an action legend. It has all the elements and tropes you'd expect to see: massive guns, big muscles, Arnold, blood, and violence.
Feature film. Your flight attendants are Susan and Lance, and I'm Vic. We're here to make...
Do me a favor. Don't disturb my friend. He's dead tired.
This movie is cheesy and full of iconic one-liners, but that's what makes it so good.
I ate green berets for breakfast.
And right now I'm very hungry.
Can't believe this macho bullshit.
Fuck you, asshole. Fuck you, asshole.
It's relaxing and feels surprisingly fresh because it's not trying to tell some kind of deep story or impress you with original cinematography. There is almost non-stop action going on that never gets old or annoying. In fact, even once the movie is over, you still feel thirsty for more explosions and bullets to fly. When John Matrix's daughter gets kidnapped by a bunch of overly cartoony and cliché villains, instead of cooperating and doing what they say, he decides to turn into an indestructible killing machine and kill all of them without batting an eye.
And if you want your kid back, then you gotta cooperate. Right?
Wrong.
Commando defines what 80s action was all about, and it does so in a perfect way. At the same time, despite being full of cliches and tropes, it also tries to subvert some of them and change expectations. It seems like this movie is almost aware of all the tropes that were around in the 80s and makes a conscious decision to include as many as it can, while at the same time trying to be unexpected and subvert these same tropes. I believe that's why Commando works so well, because it doesn't take itself too seriously, but also isn't trying to be a parody or completely without substance. This movie is iconic because of these factors and fun to watch. The action here is over the top and completely unapologetic. John Matrix doesn't care how much damage he doesn't care how many people he has to kill or what happens in the process. He's basically a human version of the Terminator, not stopping before he has killed everyone involved in the kidnapping of his daughter. Matrix won't leave you threatening messages on your phone or try to bargain with you. The first time you see him will be the last time you see anything. Arnold really shines in this movie, and he's the main reason it ended up being so iconic. I don't think it would have been as successful without him, because his comedic timing and almost emotionless delivery of his lines is what makes the character really stand out. The acting in this movie isn't great, nor is the story in any way original or unheard of, but that's exactly why Commando is so good. Schwarzenegger has a certain charm and timing that other action stars, at least back in the 80s, lacked. The movie was never supposed to be funny, but his delivery of one-liners is so iconic and good that he is rightfully called the king of one-liners.
Remember, Sally, when I promised to kill you last?
That's right, Major. You did.
I lied.
What'd you do, Sully?
I let him go.